all of this is looking at Song, S-U-N-G or S-O-N-G, depends how you want to pronounce it. Usually it's spelled S-O-N-G, but sometimes pronounced with a U. So body upright, just breathe for a moment. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose. So any speed, don't try and go slow, just breathe in whatever's good for you. So the primary objective here, and keep breathing, the primary objective initially, which would make sense if it's primary, is to just allow the body to completely soften and relax. So we're trying to settle our central nervous systems. And sometimes having a focus helps that. So when you breathe in, would you lift up your pelvic floor very, very, very slightly? Don't do it fiercely now. Do it so small a lift that you're not even sure you've done it. And the acupuncture point here, 1.5 inches, I'm pointing at my navel at the moment. That's my navel, 1.5 inches below my navel. Yeah, that one, that's where you're going to very gently pull in. And it is tiny, really tiny, on the in-breath only. Now, so that's a mechanical thing. We can easily do that. On the out breath, it's not so easy simply because I'm asking you to let go. So you don't think about these 2 points at all on the out breath. What you do is just forget them. And on the out breath, you just go internally. Head for your diaphragm first. So you know where your diaphragm is. It's around about here. So here's the bottom of my rib cage just there. And you can pretty well say that the diaphragm, being like a dome-shaped muscle, comes over the top here and it goes either side and down slightly. So when you breathe out, this is the area initially at least to focus on, because when people hold a lot of stress or tension or fear particularly in the body, they hold it here in the solar plexus, which is exactly, if you want to find your solar plexus, dip your fingers underneath your rib cage and just slot them, you know, go in like that underneath your ribs, right in the middle. So this is your solar plexus area. So in lots of cultures, this is your center where people hold their fear. As I may have said before, you know, you get butterflies in the stomach. This is where you feel it really. And it can affect down here as well, but this is where it initiates. So when you breathe out, this is the bit you predominantly relax and let go of. Well, eventually it'll let go and you can spread that feeling elsewhere. But for the moment, in through the nose, lift and pull. Completely forget that and take your focus to your sacral, not sacral plexus, to your solar plexus. So all these breathing techniques, they're learned skills. They're not when you're born. Well, actually, they possibly are eventually. They possibly are, because not every baby is born breathing incredibly well, obviously. But in general, stress is something that we learn. It's a learned technique and not a good one, perhaps. But obviously has its functions. But so we are trying to just revert to as we were when we were first born, assuming everything went really well and, you know, you haven't got any held in body habits from then. So you focus on the in-breath, on those 2 points, and on the out-breath, this is where you focus the solar plexus area and you just allow it to soften. Now, you will find that gradually that area does soften, perhaps, if only slightly, and the feeling can spread a little bit. So you can widen the area of the solar plexus. It can go down lower, it can go higher to the heart and round to the sides of the ribs. Now, when you do this, focusing on the out breath there and really releasing the internal aspect, you will get eventually, if not already, a settling of the abdomen. It'll feel like it's dropping very slightly as you release the solar plexus. Well, logically, this makes kind of sense because when you're breathing in, if you're pulling up your perineum and pulling in the front, the chi high acupuncture point, well, if you're pulling in there and you breathe and you forget about it, it's going to be a settling as you release those two places. But you don't have to worry about releasing it. Just focus on the middle of the body. Now, what I specifically want to work on today in the next few minutes is as you do that release, that out breath, not worried about the in breath, just do that, lifting and pulling. Yeah, very gently, super gently. It's the out breath. Now, what we need to happen is we need the body to sink into the chair you're sitting on, stool, whatever it is, floor, whatever you're on at the moment. So you let go, the solar plexus area, but you're also a little bit aware of the entire body mass sinking into the chair, floor, stool, whatever. But what also needs to happen is that your neck releases at the same moment. Now, when the neck releases, and I don't mean you try and lift your head up to the ceiling. That is not releasing. That's you trying to stretch the muscles, which means you're trying to use muscles to do a job for which they are not designed. The only way you can get your neck to undo is by letting go. So as you breathe out, you observe the body settling, shoulders particularly, and your pelvis. Lead with those. Even let your elbows feel heavy on the out breath. So you breathe in and you lift, pull in. On the out breath, feel your shoulders settling, feel your back settling, feel your bum settling, elbows heavy. So you get used to that a few times. You just work on that. You don't worry about your neck for a bit. So there is a feeling of you really connecting to your chair, whatever. And then what you do is you add on, as you have that settling feeling, just let go of your neck. Because if you try and settle the body and bring your neck with you, the whole body is collapsing. But actually, we want the opposite to happen. We want the body to settle, but the neck to feel. And the neck, incidentally, if we think of it as starting from somewhere down by your pelvis, right up your spine, we call that all the neck, that needs to be allowed to undo. So the picture I always get is, which is terrible, really. It's a real boy's analogy. It's a rocket taking off, you know, and how it's got those the supporting tower on either side, and sometimes you can see it with two towers. And as the rocket takes off, which is your whole spine and your neck, as that takes off, the whole, what do they call them, the gantries or something, those things that support the rocket before it takes off, they literally fall away left and right if there's two of them. And that, the falling away, is your body settling, and the rocket taking off is your spine, as I say, total boy's analogy here. So, but the feeling there is of that happening, but you can't force the neck to lengthen. You have to allow it by the fact that everything else falls away. So it's almost more like you feel the neck being freed by everything else settling and dropping away, rather than you trying to do something there. Feel it happening to it. Good. And just stand up, just finish what you're doing, the breath, and then get rid of your chair. I've got one more exercise I've got to do yet, because it relates now, all this relates absolutely 100% to Tai Chi. So just picking one move only, and this is the obvious one to do, yeah. What we now do is we breathe in, try lifting up your pelvic floor, pulling in your abdomen slightly, and then breathe out and a little bit of knee bend so you can feel the sinking more easily as you close the hands, and do the same thing with the body settling and the neck being released. So you breathe in and you stand, and then you breathe out and you feel the body settling and the whole spine is being released. Don't do anything with your neck. You just give yourself a headache. Good. Okay. This applies to every single move, whatever it is. Body sunk, neck released. Body sinks, neck releases as I arrive. It happens all the time. So suddenly Tai Chi becomes very three-dimensional. You know, you're thinking down and up the whole time. You're going forwards and backwards. You're going left and right. The whole thing becomes, but it's more of a feeling in the body than you making something happen.